Profitability. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. Let me switch for you real quick. Welcome, everyone, to our webcast, Profitability Pitfalls and How to Collect More AR in 2019, presented by Sarah Schaff. Before we get started today, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Headnote. Headnote is the industry leader in e-payment and AR automation software for U.S. law firms. Headnote helps firms of all sizes ensure trust compliance, automate AR tasks, and collect more revenue. And now I have the pleasure of introducing today's presenter, Sarah Schaff, founder and CEO of Headnote. Sarah is an attorney with payments and law firm operations expertise. She was a litigator at firms in San Francisco, and prior to taking an in-house role at Google's legal department, she left Google in 2014 to become an entrepreneur and is currently the founder and CEO of Headnote, the fastest-growing e-payments company in the legal industry. She is an active member of several entrepreneurial and fintech groups in Silicon Valley, including NFX Guild and Commerce Innovated, and is also a regular podcast guest and legal conference speaker. So without further ado, Sarah, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to begin just in one moment, and we're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about some tips to collect more AR for your firm in 2019. Okay, so first of all, as I wanted to kind of get started and just yet again, thank you all for joining me today and spending some time together. Before we get going, I like to start this presentation by asking everybody a question. How, and you can use your chat box if you want to tell me answers, I can see them, as Regina said. How many of you have spent time thinking about what your firm's books are going to look like at the end of the year? I should be getting chats from every person on this webcast, because the fact is, as we probably all realize, the end of the year is less than a month away. The holidays are officially upon us, and before we know it, it's going to be 2019. You're here today at a webcast that's all about collecting more outstanding AR, or accounts receivables, so this can't be something that's too far from your minds. As Regina said, my name is Sarah Schaff, and I am an attorney, and I'm also a former law firm administrator like many of you. I'm an expert in e-payments and law firm efficiency and have over 20 years of experience working in law firms. This is what I do, and this is why I started Headnote. As Regina said, I spent time litigating before I went in-house at Google. I live in San Francisco, and I left Google to start Headnote to try to solve some of the biggest problems I saw across the entire industry, from solo attorneys' offices to Fortune 1 company. So today we're going to start by talking about some of the biggest problems that law firms are facing and how these negatively impact bottom line and the state of their accounts receivable, how powerful small change can be to a firm's bottom line, and then we're going to end with 2 actionable things you can implement this week to collect more outstanding AR in 2019. Now, bonus, and this is something that I didn't talk too much about in the teasers leading up to the webinar, but many of the things that we're going to discuss today are things you can actually help your firm implement before the end of the year to collect more outstanding and stale AR before the end of this year. So if you're here today because you want to set up good habits for 2019, you're in the right place. But if you're also thinking, the way that many firms that I work with are, that there's still about a month left in this year, you can take advantage of this last month with some of the things that we're going to talk about today to help make a difference for your firm this year. So we've talked a little bit about myself. We've talked a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. The thing that I want to kind of jump into the presentation and I want you to think about throughout our time together today is that it all adds up. This is something that I use as a theme in my general life. I use it at my company and I use it in presentations, okay? All of the decisions that a firm is making about what kind of technology to use or not adds up the way that every staff member at a firm, billable and non-billable, spend their time adds up, and every single penny that you collect or don't collect adds up. So as we go through today, we're going to be talking about that, okay? Because all of these little decisions we make and the little things we do, they aggregate to make a big difference. Now, I know we talked a little bit about my time working as an attorney, but I don't think that we've talked too much about my time working in the legal industry prior to being an attorney. So let me tell you a little bit about my history before we get going. This is Jay and Sue Mann, my lovely parents. Both are practicing attorneys, and this was a picture that was taken at the ABA convention in London in the 90s, right around the time they both left large firms and large corporations to start their own independent firms. So when I was growing up, I worked at my parents' 2 law firms. I started kind of working in the back office and doing filing and made my way kind of through the ranks to receptionist and eventually managing a lot of the different staff members that we had. My dad's firm eventually grew to be quite a profitable mid-size, and my mom stayed a solo. So when you are working in a law firm as an administrator or as an attorney, there's ups and downs, right? We've all kind of been there. And everybody in the law firm goes around for it, right? Sticks around for those things, and it affects all of us. All of these things add up. Let me tell you a story about one of the biggest issues that we saw the first day my dad started his own firm. The fact is, as many of you have probably realized, either working as attorneys or administrators with attorneys, is that attorneys are not the best business people. This is something that doesn't naturally come to us, and I'll tell you from experience, they don't teach us about business in law school. So if you've seen some decisions that some of the partners or the executive committees are making at your firm and don't understand why, it's good to keep in mind that lawyers are not necessarily naturally the best business people. So let me tell one quick story to illustrate that. When my dad on the right left his firm, his big firm, to start his own midsize, he did almost everything right. He got the best co-owners to go with him and become his partners. He brought his best staff members that he worked with to run the operations. He had great associates. He brought his best clients. They got a great office. They got insurance. They did everything, like checked all the major boxes that you need to. And then on day one, they opened the doors and they had a waiting room full of clients for consultations. And they had an office of staff ready to start turning out work. And guess what they forgot? Coffee. Nobody in the entire office had thought about getting a coffee maker or actually getting coffee so that they had something to offer their clients when they came in for the consults. And they didn't have anything to power this law firm that was just about to get off the ground. I think we know how important it is to caffeinate a law firm for all of the staff members there. So the fact that they forgot about this detail that is actually so important in the first impression you're going to make to those clients, and what kind of efficiency and what kind of how much you can get your people, all of your staff, to be working, is a big mistake. So the fact is, like we said, it all adds up, right? The devil is in the details, and sometimes you're so focused on the firm necessities that you forget about the little things. The same principle applies to the importance of all the work that happens on the back end after the casework is complete. This is the stage that's the most important to a firm. We've gotten better as an industry at applying technology to how we market to clients, how we intake clients, how we do casework, how we bill our clients and track our bills. But if we aren't actually finishing the job to get paid for the work that we did and get a handle on our AR, then we're actually not doing our jobs. It's essentially the same thing as fumbling the ball on the 1-yard line. I work with hundreds of administrators to solve their firm's AR challenges. And one of the things that I hear over and over is that there's no process in place after the invoice goes out. Use your chat box and tell me if you've experienced this as well. Most of the administrators I talk to, and a lot of the partners and COOs that I work with, say that they have a very regimented process in place for almost everything they do, right? The way that they're tracking marketing efforts and marketing spend, the way that they're having attorneys bill for their time, the pre-bill stage, and taking that back to that managing partner on that case, and then getting all of the billing entries and the invoices created. And then at that point, it's almost like things go into a black hole. Invoices are being sent out sometimes by billing departments or AR departments, Sometimes they're being sent out by individual attorneys. There's basically no process in place and no uniformity to how we're tracking the collection efforts and the follow-up efforts. So essentially, we've got all of this good process in place, and then when it gets to the part that matters most, getting paid, we don't have any process in place, and it all adds up. So we are using tech to automate every other part of our law firm process. We need to start using similar technology to modernize and automate how we get paid and track our AR and the overall health of our firm. So that's what we're going to kind of dive into. Now, as I kind of just explained, the biggest profitability pitfall I see is that firms don't have process in place past the invoicing stage. But I want to talk for a few minutes about some of the biggest issues that we're seeing across our industry. As many of you have most likely seen or read in the past few weeks, there was a report that was recently published called the Legal Trends Report. A lot of the stats we're going to discuss for the next few minutes came from that report, although some of them are from ABA statistics and from some other sources, and I'm happy to kind of share some more of those if you would like to after the webcast. You can always email me. So what are we seeing today in our industry? Well, the number one thing that's most important to firms today is increasing firm revenue. 84% of firms are saying that the number one biggest priority for them is increasing firm revenue. The second most important thing that firms are saying that they need to do is improve efficiency of firm operations. 80% say that this is the thing that they need to do the most after revenue. And across the board, what we're seeing is that the bottom line number one metric for success is revenue, right? Your bottom line is that bottom line number one metric. So that is kind of an indicator of what we're seeing is important to people: revenue, efficiency, and your bottom line. Now, even though this is true that we have these goals related to revenue and efficiency, we're actually seeing that law firms and lawyers have some big issues that are completely counterintuitive to these goals. Lawyers in general, from the Legal Trends Report, these are the three big takeaways of what we're seeing with lawyers and staff at law firms. We're struggling to set and measure goals, even though we know that we need to be focused on increasing revenue and improving efficiency. We're struggling as a firm to balance the billable and non-billable work commitments that we have to get done. And firm members, and especially people that are doing a lot of the billable work and have to be doing billable and non-billable work, are working too much and not enjoying it. If we're working a lot and we enjoy it, not as big of a problem. Working too much and not enjoying it, that's a big problem. So these are some things that we need to work on and we're going to talk about today. One of the things that was the most interesting part of this Legal Trends Report to me was something called an NPS score, or a Net Promoter Score. So if you can please use your chat box and send it to me privately, tell me if you know what an NPS score is. Just let me know. I'm always curious and trying to gauge the audiences that I speak to, because this is something that is essentially a relatively new concept I'm seeing people say, no, I don't know, and question mark. This is a relatively new concept in legal, but it's something that we've actually all participated in various ways. So NPS means Net Promoter Score. I want you all to think about, sometime in the last couple of weeks, probably, we've all been shopping for Cyber Wednesday, Black Friday, and all of this. Sometime that you've been doing something online, shopping or maybe reading an article, and something pops up that says, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend, 1 through 10? Again, use your chat box. A lot of you are writing to me. If you participated in a survey like that from almost any provider, let me know. So that's, one person said that he knows what it is. Jeremy knows how well people recommend you to others. Exactly, Jeremy. You're the only person out of like the dozens that wrote that knew that. NPS is how likely are you to recommend services or products to someone else. So the reason that it's so interesting that as law firm administrators and attorneys that we don't know what this is that as people in the legal industry, referrals are our number one source of business. More than almost any other industry in the U.S., we depend on referrals and having a strong, healthy reputation with that referral traffic to give us business and to have a strong pipeline. So the fact that we don't know what an NPS score is so fascinating. So what did the Legal Trends Report found? Well, if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, it ranked what different industries are seeing as far as where they fall on NPS, their Net Promoter Score. Law firms were at the very bottom of the list, sandwiched between banks, and wireless carriers for NPS score ranking. This essentially means that all of us who are attorneys and administrators, got into this industry a lot of times because we wanted to help people, right, with good intentions. Yet somehow as an industry, we are ending up at the bottom of the list, sandwiched between some of the worst offenders for customer service in the entire world. How did that happen? How is it that the legal industry has been so unconcerned and unaware of an NPS score when it's something that as consumers and as shoppers and people that are reading content online, we actually participate in Net Promoter Score surveys all the time? That's something that we actually need to get a handle on as an industry as well. So what does this kind of mean if we actually look and distill down this info? What we're seeing in our industry today is that in general, lawyers are only billing for about 2.4 hours a day. So even though we're working for 8+ hours, when we actually look at the amount that we end up billing for and getting paid for, we're only actually having that add up to 2.4 hours that are being utilized every day. We're only collecting 86 cents on the dollar as an industry. This is lower than almost every other, not almost every other, this is lower than every other service industry in the U.S. Can you imagine if you told a service provider that did work on your home that you were only going to pay them 86 cents on the dollar, or if you went to your doctor and told them like you were only going to pay them 86% of your copay? No, it doesn't work that way. For some reason, lawyers in the legal industry and law firms are okay with only collecting 86 cents on the dollar. We also are seeing that it takes us longer to get paid than every other service industry in the U.S. It takes us 60 to 94 days to get paid on average. Again, I want you to think about what would the reaction be if you told anybody that did work for you at your home, or anybody that you worked with regarding your health or any services that you consume, that you were going to pay them in 3 months. It would be unacceptable. Every other provider in the U.S., goods or services, has net terms, right? Net 7, net 15, net 30. For whatever reason, that's a concept that until recently has escaped the legal industry. A lot of the things on this screen have to do with the fact that we have outdated and manual processes in tech. Many of the firms that are on this call today are accepting their main form of payment as paper check, right? You might even still be sending snail mail invoices out as opposed to even a PDF or emailed invoice. Think about some of the different service providers that you interact with on a daily basis, right? I bet you can't remember the last time you had to pull out your checkbook. I can't. I'm probably dating myself a little with this kind of story, but do you remember like the last time you got stuck behind somebody at the grocery store who pulled out a checkbook and like you just automatically and you have to go find another line? We are essentially giving our customers that same experience, our clients that same experience, when as lawyers and law firms, we are not giving them a modern experience when it comes to paying us. So because we're actually making it difficult, we're seeing that we have some of the worst payment statistics in the world for any industry. So essentially, as we've kind of been talking about, this is going to lead to accounts receivables and the amount of uncollected balances that are out of control. We're spending too much time on tasks that we shouldn't be, and we aren't giving enough tech. We're not getting enough tech to work in the right ways when it comes to getting paid and to actually understanding our accounts receivable data and the overall health. Our AR is running rampant. It's outdated and out of control. The number one thing that the Legal Trends Report said is a solution for some of these issues is streamlining and automating non-billable tasks will help every member of a firm be more productive. So this isn't just speaking to the billable members of a firm. This is also speaking to non-billable administrators and staff and how we need to be improving efficiency across the board and doing it in the right place. This is what we kind of refer to in my industry as low-hanging fruit. Where are the places that we can get the biggest ROI, the biggest return on investment for the smallest amount of work? That is what we're going to talk about today. So again, why should this matter to you? Well, it kind of comes down in my book to two things, okay? One is the time value of money. So what is $20,000 really worth to your firm today versus 94 days from today? This is something that if you work in a billing department, or if you're a partner in a firm, or if you're an administrator, an office manager, if we aren't thinking about those lost profits or those delayed profits as a loss, right, then we're actually not looking at this the right way. This is actually what separates high-performing firms from those that get stagnant. The reason why is what we should all kind of understand is opportunity cost, right? That $20,000 that's sitting in AR, and I would bet the farm that most everybody on this webinar today has more than $20,000 of outstanding AR on their books right now. Some have like 10 or 20 more, times that. I work with firms every day that have sizable AR issues and amounts left in AR. That $20,000, what is that worth to your firm today versus collecting in 94 days? That's $20K that could be going to work for your firm in 6 pay periods. That 90 days is the equivalent of 6 pay periods. That's time that your firm could actually be spending that revenue on marketing to get new clients, on hiring new people, training new people, new associates, new administrators, new support staff. This could be money that you're using to get that new office and start your expansion. The fact is, this is money that if it isn't in your pocket and it isn't actually working for your firm, then this is a huge loss. Even if you're saying, well, I'm going to get it eventually, it's that delay that's a big issue. When I was working at my dad's firm, which was a very highly, highly successful firm, eventually got acquired by a big law firm, we would have some months where we would have to get a float from the bank because we had so much work that we had done and so much sitting in AR that hadn't been collected. And we obviously knew that we were good for it and our clients were good for it. But that delay was like killing us just to get to that next, lily pad in the river, right? You're like jumping from lily pad to lily pad. We have to get to a point where we're not actually looking at it in that way, right? And we're not dependent on that. We're not looking at our cash flow in 30, 60, 90-day time periods. So what's on the other side of this coin, right? This power of $20,000. I like to think of it as the real value of 20 minutes of time. Now, this is something that I find fascinating. And you've heard this before. This isn't something new. This is that same concept of interest compounded daily, weekly, monthly. Like, remember when you were a kid and somebody told you if you saved up $20 a month, you would be a millionaire by the time you were 18? I'm sure we all wish that we would have put aside that $20 every month. And it sounds so simple. Well, this is the same concept that applies to how you're spending your time as a firm. Let me tell you one other quick personal story to help illustrate the real power of 20 minutes. I'm a new mom. I have an 8-month-old baby, and I have a 3.5-year-old son. I run a software company, and I have many employees, and I essentially have zero free time, as many of you probably can relate to and can understand. So I got a Peloton bike, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's this really awesome stationary bike that you can put, in your house, and it has a screen on it so you can be live in spin classes. And I love to spin and cycle. So I got this Peloton bike, and it's fantastic, and I love this thing. And in the mornings, I'll wake up, and of course I slept a couple minutes late because I didn't sleep that well the night before because I've got kids and stuff to do. I'll wake up and say, I only have 20 minutes to get on the bike, and that's not enough. I'm not going to do it, because in my head, if I don't have that full hour of time, then I feel like, what's the point? And I think we all know, right? If you are working out or dieting or saving up money, it's not like those big chunks. It's actually those little things. It's that 20 minutes of getting on that bike that ends up making a big difference to how you feel in your day and how you end up actually reaching your fitness goals. This is the same thing with the time that you're spending at your firm. So the real value of 20 minutes of time, 20 minutes, 5 days a week, times 50 weeks a year is 83 hours per person, okay? Now, I want you to think, is there anybody at your firm, especially if they're a billable staff member, that's spending 20 minutes of time a day doing something related to AR or collections that they shouldn't? So this would be if an attorney is actually the one who's making follow-up calls, or if somebody on the partnership committee or the management committee actually needs to go and track down what is the status of all of the uncollected, at the AR meeting. What's the status? Where are we with this? Who's followed up? Who's done this? Who's made the call? When's the last time we checked in with this client? If there are people at your firm spending 20 minutes a day doing this kind of work, you are a good example of the amount on the screen. If there are attorneys at your firm spending 20 minutes a day doing something related to these functions that they shouldn't, that's times their $300 hourly rate, we're talking about $25,000 a year that they could be billing for and actually making for the firm with that 20 minutes. That 20 minutes of time times 2 attorneys is 50 grand, times 4 attorneys is 100 grand. I mean, that's real money. Like, a lot of you are working at firms with, dozens, if not, more, 100, 200 attorneys. Imagine that 25K times all of the attorneys that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying low-hanging fruit. Applying the right kind of technology in the right places that can get that 20 minutes of time back for your billable staff is going to make a huge difference in the amount of profits and revenue you collect. It's not just about the billable staff though, guys. This 20 minutes a day, if that's non-billable staff that's spending time doing that as well, this is actually time that could be spent better. This is time that should not be used by any member of your firm. This is something that should be automated and outsourced to technology so that the people in your firm can be doing the things that they actually need to be doing, especially things that are related to profit-generating activities. So just something to really think about. How do we get that 20K that's in AR into the firm's bank account sooner? And how do we get that 20 minutes of time put to good use so that we can bring in that extra 25K, 100K, whatever it is, times that many attorneys per year, put that back into the firm's bank account? So now we're going to get into the part of the presentation where we start talking about solutions, okay? Because as we've talked about, all of these things add up. Now we need to get to what can we do to actually start making a difference in some of the things that we're doing wrong. So if we're talking about how to solve some of the biggest issues that attorneys and law firms are having today, we need to be concerned with 3 general categories for these solutions, right? Everything we're talking about from now on in this presentation is going to relate to 3 things. First, revenue. The number 1, right? Bottom line metric for success for all of the firms. For everyone that's attending today from a firm. 2, time saved. This is essentially the equivalent of time spent, time efficiency. How are we making sure that we're making the right choices with that 20 minutes of time? And 3, client satisfaction. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it as we go, but this is really all about that NPS score, that Net Promoter Score. How are we maxing out everything we can to make our clients as satisfied as possible so that we can make sure that we get every single possible referral and piece of goodwill from that client. So we're going to get into some of those solutions now, but before we kind of jump into them, I want to take 1 second to discuss this graph. So everyone take a look at this graph, okay? The top left-hand side of your screen is where we want everybody to be. This is the firms that are collecting as close to 100% as possible for every dollar that they bill to their clients. Down at the bottom right-hand side of your screen is where we want to avoid being, okay? This is closer to the legal industry average of that 60 to 94-day range. What this graph is showing us is that the longer in time that it takes us to get paid actually affects the amount that we're going to end up collecting. So once you get past 90 days, and I'm sure a lot of people on this webinar have stale AR that's over 90 days past due. Once you get past that 90-day mark, you actually have less than a 20% chance of collecting it all. At that point, that's when we really start doing write-offs and discounts. And that's when we kind of will do anything to get paid, right? We get desperate. And that's how we get to that 86 cents because we'll do anything we can just to collect anything. So the number 1 thing that this graph represents to me is something called client amnesia. Again, I would love to have everybody, if they can. If you've heard of the term client amnesia, tell me in your chat box, because I'm always trying to gauge that from people as well. So if you know what client amnesia is, great. If you don't, I'm going to explain it to you. It's a concept that I think I authored, but lots of people come up with great ideas at the same time. So it's possible that this is something I share with others. So client amnesia is what happens when it takes so long for your client to get your bill and then pay your bill that they completely forget how valuable the services that your firm provided are. Let me tell you a story to explain what I mean. I am a client, right, of various law firms. At Headnote, we have many different lawyers that do all different kinds of tasks for us depending on what it is that we need. Some of those firms in the beginning, before we were when we were starting to work with them, not all of them were paying us with Headnote. We would, from some of them, get a actual snail mail invoice, and some of them we would get an e-invoice, right, even if it was a PDF. So for the ones that we would get the paper invoice, it would literally go into an inbox, like a physical inbox, not an email inbox, a paper inbox, and it would sit there. And maybe after 60 days, we would get some kind of a check-in, like, hey, this outstanding bill is due. But it would take a while. And when we finally got around to paying it, the work that I had been so, excited when it was performed, that I had felt like it was so valuable. The lawyers did such a good job on the work that we needed. I had called them and said, I really need to get this work done right away. Drop everything. They do great work. Takes so long to get the bill. By the time I get around to paying it, I've now completely forgotten why the work was so valuable. Now, the first thing that happens in my mind is sticker shock. I immediately start going into, I want a discount. I want to ask for 20% off. This seems too expensive. Now I'm going through all of the billing entries, right, in my line items with like a red pen and a fine-tooth comb. Why did this person spend this much time on this task? How come this, why were they having a lawyer do this when this looked like it could really be more of a paralegal task? I am now looking for any possibility that I can to nickel and dime that bill. Now, let's go back and talk about the firms that sent me something that was more convenient and modern. And this is another kind of example I like to give is people that are not lawyers and service providers who give more modern invoicing practices. The lawyers that would send me an invoice that I could pay easily, that everything was done electronically, I would pay within a matter of days or weeks. And those are the lawyers that would leave a better kind of taste in my mouth. I would think about them when it was time to go back and get more work. It was those ones that I had a better impression of and a better experience. The ones that it was hard to pay and it took me forever because of the outdated processes that they had in place, I actually started devaluing them in my mind. Now, that's what client amnesia is, okay? We actually need to get better, right? We need to be more like all of the other service providers we work with that allow you and make it easy for you to pay them. Again, think about if when you went to the doctor and you went to pay your copay, they said, oh, we only accept checks. What a terrible experience. And who would even have a checkbook? And there's no way you would make making your payment on the spot. We need to get better at this as an industry, and we need to make sure that all of us on this webcast are actually on the top left-hand side of this graph and avoid staying on the bottom right. So how do we do that? Now we're going to get to the two things that I told you are simple, actionable things that you can implement to make 2019 the best AR year you've ever had at your firm. And like I said, many of these are things you can actually do this month to collect before year end on stale AR. So the number one thing that you need to be doing as a firm, whether you're an attorney, a partner, an administrator, is making it easy for your clients to pay you. This sounds so simple, right? But you just saw that chart. If you can collect faster, you will collect more. That is a fact. Firms that make it easy to pay get paid faster, and they actually will collect more revenue. Right now, as we talked about, the average payment time for a law firm in the U.S. is 60 to 94 days. I run an e-payments company made for lawyers. Do you know what our average payment time is today? How long it takes from when a law firm sends out an invoice to a client and that client pays them? 4 days. Our current average payment time, and it's been like this for over 6 months, is 4 days. I have never heard of a faster payment time in the legal industry. This is kind of a fact that if you make it easier to get paid, you will get paid faster. If you get paid faster, you will get paid more. One of the biggest profitability pitfalls that I see law firms make every day is that they do not want to change something that's a low-hanging fruit, an easy process like digital payments, because they don't understand the value. If you collect faster, you will collect more. Make it easy to pay you. The part about this, though, is that we need to remember is that not every payment platform, right, is created equally. We are lawyers, we are law firms, we have special needs, and we're going to get into that in a few slides. But the part that you also need to be thinking about, right, because everything we're talking about relates to revenue or time saved or client satisfaction, is client convenience and UX. UX means user experience. How easy are you making it to pay, not just by offering them an online payment, but what is that experience like for them? I want you to think about the last time that you had to do something online and you found the experience to be frustrating, okay? Compare these two experiences. One, you're reading an article and it's really interesting and you scroll down and finish the article. Maybe you thought it was so interesting you even decided you want to share it on social media or send it to a friend. Great. Okay, compare that with you're reading an article and you find it really interesting and you go to scroll down and it pops up and says, to continue reading this article, you need to register for an account. How many times does that happen? And like, maybe you want to read the article bad enough that you open yet another online account, but maybe you just close out because you're like, I have more important things to do and like, I don't need another account with something I'm not going to, that I don't care about. This is the same experience that you can give you can choose which experience you're giving your client when it's time for them to interact with you, including the way that they pay you. Do not use a payment platform that's going to make your client open yet another account, okay? Make it as easy as possible. Give them a way to click and pay you in under 10 seconds. Super easy. Again, I want you to think about when you have something that you need to do online and you are given limited options. Not a great experience. Many of the firms that are on here today have individual clients in addition to business clients, right? Small businesses or even like small corporations, large corporations. Most individuals like paying by credit card. I think we all can realize that, right? Remember the last time you went to a corner store or a bar or restaurant and they said, we're cash only? Like, what an inconvenience. Nobody has cash. Just like nobody knows where their checkbook is. So it's kind of common knowledge that we all want to pay we want to pay digitally. And credit card is a great option. But if you are a firm that services small businesses and business clients, not all of them want to or are able to pay by credit card. They might have internal processes that dictate that they need to pay directly from a bank account, or they might not, that just might not be their policies, right? Or they might not have the kind of available credit that you need to pay a large legal bill. E-check is a fabulous option, and you need to be offering, both options to your clients to give them that kind of elevated experience. So what is e-check? E-check is similar, built off of ACH rails, automated clearinghouse, but it's an instantaneous process. So again, how many of you, if you've ever signed up for something like PayPal, I want you to think about that experience. Generally, if you sign up for something where you can pay via ACH, you have to open an account, right? You open a PayPal account, you set it up, you then have to go and link your bank account, and then you have to wait for 3 days for something called micro deposits, right? So they can verify that you own the account. Then eventually you go back to your bank account, you see that there's a micro deposit, a deposit from PayPal, you have to go back to PayPal and you have to enter that micro deposit amount, and once you get approved after that point, you're ready to start transacting and paying bills. Like that took a week. That's a high amount of friction. That is something that your clients, if they're going to pay your bills as a law firm, are not going to do and not want to do. So if you want to give your clients the best experience, especially business clients, give them a way to pay you directly from their bank that doesn't require them to open an account, doesn't require them to do an account verification, waiting period, micro deposit process, something that is instantaneous. That's an e-check. So you need to be choosing a payment platform that gives options, including both credit card and e-check, so that you can be servicing all of your clients. The other thing that you need to make sure in this making it easy to pay you, or another ancillary benefit outside of collecting more and collecting faster, is that this is actually going to help more of your non-billable staff be more efficient. So if you are a firm that's like, Well, sometimes we'll allow credit cards, but we run them ourselves, and we have to like get a permission from the client to do so. We've worked with a lot of firms that was their process in the past. That's time that you're paying somebody. Somebody on your staff is being paid to actually pull credit card numbers, run those transactions, send receipts to your clients, check in on the status of those. This is all things that somebody on your staff should not be paying for, okay? Having the right payment platform in the hands of the right department in a firm makes it unstoppable. You need to be looking at this as something that can be the best friend of your non-billable staff or your AR and your billing department. This is not something, of course, that's going to replace any of those people. This is something that actually is going to make them more efficient, enjoy their job more, and actually be able to focus on some of the things that matter more than some of these archaic tasks that should not be done by a person. So what's the next tip? The next thing that I want to talk about is one more slide of stats, okay? This is that client satisfaction piece, that NPS. So why is it so important to make it easy for your clients to pay you? Because there is this really interesting and unknown correlation between payment experience and client satisfaction, okay? Between payment experience and NPS score, that net promoter score of your firm. So why is that? Well, again, we're going back to the Legal Trends report and some of the new stats that were recently published. What that report said is that 40% of clients said they would not hire a firm that doesn't allow e-payments. So this is actually showing that how easy you make it for your clients to pay you is directly related to your pipeline. This is something that, modern clients, and I know, I'm not sure what the age range is for people on this webcast, but I am what they call a gray-haired millennial. I'm the oldest possible millennial. And I am, the decision maker at my company. I think a lot of your clients and a lot of the clients you're seeing today are in the same demographic. The decision makers are people that have now grown up in a time where they don't carry cash. They don't use checkbooks. They pay digitally. So something like, do we offer digital payments, actually has a big impression on them as far as, is this a modern law firm? So 40% of clients would just straight up not hire a firm that doesn't allow e-payments. Now, more interesting to me, 71% of clients and consumers report that they have higher satisfaction rates if they're given an e-payment option. So again, this is that client amnesia story I told, right? Like, if you make it easy to pay me, if you make it easy for me to pay you, I actually just think of you in a way that's a more positive impression. If you make it harder for me to pay you, that frustrates me. I now am actually less satisfied with you and your work in general, even though that had nothing to do with the payment process, right? I'm not going to separate those things in my mind. I'm going to lump that entire experience together, and I'm going to be more or less satisfied if you make every single touch point with me, including how you let me pay you, a positive experience. Bottom of the screen, 36% of law firm clients said that they are less likely to switch to a competitor if given an e-payment option. So not only are you going to have more satisfied clients, but you're actually going to have more loyal clients, okay? And I think we all know that today, with how easy it is, right, to Google attorneys near me, we have unlimited access to information. We have to be doing everything we can to keep that client happy because it's easier than ever for them to stray. They can find another lawyer. There's a ton out there. They have access to the information. So every single little thing we can do, right, that low-hanging fruit to keep that client happy, do it. You need to keep that client. In my industry, in tech, we have something called CAC, and that means cost to acquire a customer, CAC. That CAC that you all are paying for those clients, if you don't get them to be a repeat client and you don't get them to refer you to other clients, then you are spending more for that CAC, that client acquisition cost, than you should be. Imagine if you could get 2x, 3x, 4x the number of clients for the same price if you gave them a positive enough experience that they came back with their own business and they referred you to other people who needed your services at the right time. So again, this is all about client satisfaction. Right-hand side of your screen, why are these things so important? What we've talked about. Why is NPS so important? Because referrals are the number one source of law firm business. That is the way that we get customers, right? I'm sure some of you have, your firms have marketing departments, and that's great. And I think we have to be doing everything we can to get our public profile up and to be finding good clients. But the fact is, the best way that we find them is through referrals. So the number 2 tip that we're going to talk about, right? Number 1, make it easy to pay you. Number 2, automate your accounts receivable. Put your AR on autopilot. Modernize your AR. What does this mean? This means that the way that you're actually following up with clients, a lot of those things can be automated. One of the features that we have at Headnote that is something nobody else has is the ability to set up automated reminders. So at the time that you set up a digital payment link for your client, you actually can personalize the cadence and the content of reminders. So let's say that you want that client to get a reminder that comes as an email from a specific attorney every month or every 2 weeks for 90 days or until the invoice is paid. You can at that time actually customize those so that those are going to take place without anyone in your firm needing to do it. And once the bill is paid, the reminders will be automatically turned off. Not only that, the platform is going to track all of that for you. So instead of it being a black hole of like, now I need to go recreate the wheel, how did we follow up with this client? What status? How many times did we follow up? What was the conversation like? That's all going to be tracked. You don't need to do that, and nobody on your staff needs to. Lawyers don't need to be doing that. They can still make it a personal touch point with the client in a friendly tone without alienating the client or making them feel like it will somehow result in the loss of a client. There is a way that you can actually start taking that off of their plate and making it a more uniform process across your firm. Obviously, this is a way for your firm to just have real-time updates and instant visibility. On your dashboard, right, if you're using the right software, it's going to tell you the status of every single receivable and everything in your AR. How much is outstanding? How much have we collected? What's our average payment time? What's our average check size? How much can we expect next month? Because we have a payment platform that allows for recurring payments or evergreen retainer replenishment. These are things that we actually need to start allowing software to track for us with the oversight of a human, of a billing or an AR person or department, because it's going to make the way those departments run so much smoother. It's going to result in more revenue. On-demand reporting. Again, if you have to have somebody who has to go and dig all of this information up as it's needed, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of resources. Those reports should be being generated and available to you on your dashboard in real time. And again, why does this matter? Because this is actually going to help streamline all of those billing and AR department tasks in a way that we're doing across other processes at our firm. The same way your marketing department is more streamlined, or if there's people working on marketing or conference attendance or how we're doing expense reports, those things are more streamlined. It's time to apply those same principles to the way that we need to streamline our billing and our AR department tasks. Okay, I know that I said 3, it was going to be 2 things, but I'm joking. It was 3 things because this one's a bonus. So make it easy to pay you, put your AR on autopilot, but 3, right, the details matter. It all adds up. We are law firms. We are not like every other business. We have rules. We have to make sure that every single thing that we do is by the books, right? So you need to make sure when you are going to find the solution that's right for your firm to help with those, to get your AR in the right place for 2019, make sure that you ensure compliance, okay? That's PCI compliance. That has to do with the way that you transact and store financial information, ABA, Model Rules of Professional Conduct, IOLTA or IOLA, depending on your state, and all of the rules for your state bar or bars, depending on how many offices you have. You need to make it easy for your firm to adopt, okay? This is especially true if you have a department or a few people or even one person that can do this kind of tasks, right? Billing person, AR person, office manager, they can actually be responsible for taking a lot of this off of the plate of a lot of the attorneys. This is something you don't need to train every single attorney on. This is something that you actually can put into place with a few people at the firm and see big results. So that's the next one, right? As little internal process change as possible. Pick the right tool that does that. And then beware of hidden fees. You are going to, if you go out and start researching this or you get contacted by payment platforms, you are going to see some things like 1.95% and asterisk. That asterisk means hidden or surprise fees, okay? That means network fees, card acquirer fees, merchant processing fees, recurring payment fees. Pick a platform with the most transparent pricing possible because it all adds up, right? Those hidden fees add up. All of the things on this screen are easy to do if you pick the right partner, okay? Especially that first one with compliance, PCI, ABA, EOLTA, State Bar. You can outsource that to the right platform. Just make sure you pick something that's made for law firms. Don't just go out and run out and get PayPal or something that isn't going to ensure trust compliance. So again, the theme of our presentation, I see, we're getting some questions coming in. It all adds up, guys. The way that you're doing all of this, I want to tell one last kind of really quick story before we answer questions, okay? And this is actually about Headnote. So as we've talked about, I'm an attorney. I've worked as an administrator prior to that. I was at Google most recently, and I left to start Headnote. Headnote was made based off of all of these things that I saw. We are the way that firms, we work with hundreds of law firms that are using us to collect more AR than they ever have and get paid faster and get better client satisfaction. We guarantee compliance with all of those things we talked about, PCI, ABA, EOLTA, state bars, all 50 states. We will help your firm with some of the AR automation tasks that we talked about, and our pricing is the most transparent and lowest in the industry, and we will price match. If you are already using e-payments and you aren't sure if we can save you, you could go to headnote.com/calculator and put in your processing volumes and what you've paid in your fees from your most recent statement, and it will show you what we can save you. I also want to tell you that as far as 2018 goes, we literally had a firm sign up last week that was 25 attorneys. They had hundreds of thousands of dollars in accounts receivables that was outstanding, a lot of it over 90 days, and they were writing it off in their head. They were going to actually write it off at the end of the year. What we did to revive that stale AR, they signed up for Headnote. The process takes takes 10 minutes to sign up, no joke. We made this on purpose to be easy. They were creating payment links. They sent it out on that stale AR, the AR that they figured they were going to have to write off. They collected 50% of that AR over their first week of being on Headnote. So you can actually sign up for Headnote today. You can do it. I'm happy to help anybody do it and start sending out payment links to revive some of that stale AR before year end. There's no better way to show your AR, committee and to show the partners the value of some of these things and of, the non-billable staff and showing them how much you can help the firm collect and how much more efficient they can be. So it's not too late for 2018. Whether you want to start 2019 off on the right foot or you still want to make a dent in some of 2018's outstanding collected receivables, you can do it, and we're here to help. Thank you for your time today. I'm going to answer some questions, but I also wanted to let everybody know that we have a very special offer for everybody who attended today. You can go to headnote.com/ALA and get $50 in transaction fee credits. Headnote never charges any kind of other fees, no setup fees, no monthly fees. It's pay as you go, and if you sign up using this, you can get $50 in credits. The offer expires on the 21st, but the credits don't expire, and we're also happy to do a demo ahead of time so we can show you and discuss if it's the right fit for your firm. And again, my email is on there, so feel free to use that. Any questions about my presentation or anything generally, I'm here to help, and it was great spending some time with everyone. I'll go ahead and answer some questions now.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah. I just wanted to remind everyone, we've got a little time for Q&A. Please chat your questions to all participants or all panelists, and we will be able to see your questions. We got one question earlier today, back when you were on slide 15 from Stephanie. She states, what about the mindset that calling on AR will somehow result in the loss of a client, so they insist on doing their own collections?
Yeah, this is a great question, Stephanie, and one that I talk to firms about all the time. And so I want to say that this is not something that that I don't get as a big deal. Like, for one thing, I have, my dad is semi-retired, and when I talk to him about some of these things, there is this mindset of good lawyers, good law firms don't collect. And the fact is that may be true, and maybe there's, we're not going to say you should send clients to collections, which that's something we would not advise. I think there's a difference in having this, you catch more flies with honey, right? There's this way that you can put things of, dear client, thank you so much for your business. We so appreciate it. we have a big push going on to collect, all of our outstanding receivables before the end of the year. We'd really appreciate your help in doing so. We'd be happy to set up a payment plan if that's easier. Thank you so much for your help. It's setting those expectations of like, we're a business and we have certain things we need to do, like collect for the work that we did, and we appreciate your help. Some firms choose to have a different tone. That's up to the firms. So I think there is a way to be able to get that message to that client in a friendly way that isn't going to result in the loss of a client. I mean, the fact is, you guys did the work, right? The firm did the work. We don't want to lose the client, but also like if the client doesn't ever pay for their work, then that's not really a great client, right? You need to understand that data, like where are we actually making money? Sometimes asking them to pay you in a nice, friendly, professional way it's not going to alienate them, and it's something that we need to get better as an industry at doing. So the lawyers that feel like that, I understand. I think one of the things that we kind of made with Headnote is the way that that email is going to actually come from the lawyer. So it can get set up even by the administrator, but the lawyer, when the client gets it in their inbox, it's going to say from Sarah Schaff Esquire, dear Regina, thanks so much for your work. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. You can literally personalize all of the messaging. We really appreciate your help getting this paid before the end of the year. So that's just one way that you can do it and kind of see a big difference.
Okay, great. Actually, this question from Marissa is a little similar to what you stated, and you may have already answered this in your statement just now, but she just wants to know, in addition to automated reminders, when should attorneys get involved in contacting their clients? She just kind of states that we have a hard time getting the attorneys to take action. They don't want to get involved in asking for money.
I love this question, Marissa, and I actually think that this is a better mindset as far as I'm concerned than the attorneys that want to be totally involved because they want to own that whole relationship. And I see why people do both of those things. The fact is, again, and this is something this is a little controversial, but we as attorneys and as law firms, we sell services. Those services are performed and we get paid for them. There is this attitude in the past of this kind of handshake agreement of we don't want to ask them for money after we did the work, or we don't want to alienate them. And no other service industry or business, goods or services, does that. Like anything else, you consume goods or services, you pay for them. So I don't think that we should feel guilty in trying to politely and professionally ask our clients to pay us for the work that we did. I think that it's actually a better system to have in place where and this happens to me, I'm a client too, right? If we forget to pay something and I get an email from, the billing department person, I think that's actually better. It kind of removes me from the attorney, right? Because in my head, I'm well, I could go back, I have two attorneys named Mike and Mike, one firm, large firm. I could go back to Mike and Mike and say, hey guys, can I get a little bit more time on this? Or this is why it happened. Or hey, I can get a discount. But when, Marissa from billing contacts me, I don't know Marissa, there's I feel right away, oh, I should pay this. I mean, it's more of this kind of, I don't know what the psychological effect is, but I actually think it can be better to come from a billing department than from an attorney because it actually makes the client realize, this is a business. There are departments that handle different tasks. We need to be paying our bill. So I think the automated reminders are great. They can actually be programmed to either come into the client's inbox from the billing department, a billing contact, from a specific attorney's name. And those can be set up on kind of a rolling cadence. And then obviously you can pair those with calls, whether those are from somebody at the billing department or the attorney. But I actually think that giving, that client a call or a ping from somebody in an actual billing department does actually give that impression of we are a well-run, efficient business, and this is how we do business, and it's time for payment to be rendered on these services, and we're happy to work with you if we need to get some flexibility in the amount being paid, how often you pay. We're not demanding, but we definitely are reminding you friendly and gently that we need to be paid for the work we performed.
Okay, great. We've actually got two questions from Lori. I'm going to go ahead and just ask both of them. They're both in regards to fees. The first one is she just wants to confirm whether or not you stated there are no hidden fees for credit card processing with Headnote. And then the second part of that is, are all fees included in one monthly fee?
Yes, this is a great question. So Laura, you're exactly right. So one of the reasons that I started Headnote is all of the work I did with law firms and realizing that this is something we need to adapt to, right? We have to adapt or die as an industry. We are going to all be eventually accepting digital payments, just the way that we all pay for everything digitally today as consumers. So when I looked at the state of the industry, there were so few companies that did credit card and e-check processing in a compliant way for law firms. And the ones that did had really, really unclear fees. I never really understood what we were paying for. So with Headnote, we have a policy. This is company-wide. You will only pay when you get paid. No setup fees, no monthly fees. No, there are no other fees. I can't tell you how much of my time I spend convincing new customers because they can't believe it. I'll tell you over and over, no other fees. You will pay as a firm 1.9% for e-check payments and 2.9% for credit card. It does not matter what kind of credit card, Amex, debit, credit, reward card, doesn't matter. It does not matter if the card is present or if you are going to be, running a charge on their behalf. There is no minimum processing amount that you need to hit to get that rate. When we say 1.9 for e-check and 2.9 for credit card, there is no asterisk. You will only be paying that. It comes out on a per transaction basis, so you can actually see every fee that comes out of every transaction, and it comes separately from the transaction. So the deposit is for the entire payment. So for your accounting purposes and reconciliation, you'll see the entire payment come in, and then you'll see a fee come out, and it's trust compliant, so it protects those trust funds. The other thing that is different from us than anyone else is that you don't have to wait for your monthly statement to understand what fees that you were paying. You don't have to get it in it's a type 6 font, those credit when you get your statements, and they're so small you can't even read it. And by then you don't even remember what all these charges are for. You can download a report of your Headnote fees anytime you want from your dashboard. It's available 24/7. So we really promote 100% transparency, and you always are going to know what you're going to be paying for in advance.
All right, great. We've got one more question from Jerry. It states, does Headnote service Canadian law firms?
Jerry, this is a great question. We actually are going to be servicing Canadian law firms in the next, I believe it's in the next 30 or 60 days. So please reach out to me, or I can send you an email. We have a big list of Canadian firms that we're just about to start working with, and we'd love to start working with your firm as well.
All right. We are actually past the top of the hour. This has been great. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate it. Did you want to leave us with some last words before we log out?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their time and wish everybody a happy holiday, and let you know that this is getting some of these things in place is actually a really simple process. So don't feel overwhelmed, and I'd be happy to help anybody figure out if this is the right solution, and if not, ways that we can help improve some of the AR issues otherwise. So please reach out to me, and thanks again for your time today.
Okay, great. I've provided Sarah's contact information in the chat module. I hope everyone have a very happy holiday and a great new year. Sarah, thank you so much for your time. This actually concludes today's webcast. Thank you, everyone, for attending. The recording will be available at legalmarketplace.alanet.org. We will send all registrants an email tomorrow with this link, and please visit our event calendar to sign up for future webcasts.